Hello and welcome to our video today on being able to order fractions. And by ordering fractions, I mean putting them in order from smallest to largest or largest to smallest. When we're ordering and comparing fractions, we're going to consider a couple of things. We've got a quarter and we've got a sixth. And if you were to split a pie or a pizza or something into quarters, it would look like that. And if we were to split it into sixths, it would look like this. And then we can ask the question, which one of these would be the larger number? Well, 1/4 being 1 part out of 4 would be this size, and 1/6 would be this size. So your bigger slice would be when you got it as a quarter rather than a sixth. And that's something you can visualize with that. But what about putting these fractions from smallest to largest? Well, I'm going to look at a couple of different ways of doing it. One is to visualize it. So we can have our fraction wall like this, where we've got a half, where the wall's split into a half, a third, where each part is equal and it's 3 equal parts, 1/4, 1/5, where it's split into 5 equal parts, and a sixth. And if we look there, we can look down. Well, a fifth is the smallest of those fractions. It's less than a quarter. And then we've got a quarter, a third, and a half. We can visualize the fractions. And sometimes when we're comparing fractions, some people find that the easiest way of doing it, to just sketch it out and compare them that way. But there's a more formal way when we're ordering fractions. If we were to write these fractions from smallest to largest, we've got 3/8, we've got a quarter, we've got a half, and we've got an eighth. And we're to put them in order from smallest to largest. One of the things we can do is make all the denominators the same. So we're looking for the lowest common denominator. And by that, I mean, if we wrote out all our 2 times table, because one of our denominators is 2, our 4s, there's another 4 in there, or our 8s, and we look to see what is the smallest number that you can divide, multiply each one by. So you've got 8, and we've got 8 here. So that's the smallest that is common to all 3 tables. Okay, so when we do that, we can then change each fraction so that it's an 8. The 3/8 and the 1/8 we don't need to worry about, but the quarter we will. Now the rule is this: whatever you do to the denominator to get to the new denominator, you've got to do to the numerator. So I've done 4 times 2, so I've got to do the same with the 1. I've got to multiply that by 2 to find that 1/4 is the same as 2/8. So we can see where that would fit in after the 1/8 and before the 3/8. And with the half, I multiplied the 2 by 4 to get to 8. So I'm going to do the same with my numerator. 1 times 4 is 4. So that's 4/8. And by doing that, I can then put these in order, going from 1/8, then a quarter, which is 2/8, 3/8, and finally I've got a half. But what about some more complex numbers? Well, we've got these fractions to go from smallest to largest. We've got 3/4, 4/5, 1/4, and 1/2. And we're going to check out our 2 times table and our 4 times table and our 5 times table, because they're the denominators that we have here. So we've got to look to see which is the one that is most common. If I go down the list here, I've got a 20 in the 4s, a 20 in the 5s, and of course 10 2s are 20. So that seems to be the lowest number that is common to all 3 tables. So we're going to change each one into 20ths. So we're going to start with 3/4. We're going to change it into 20ths. I've done 4 times by 5 to get to 20. So I'm going to have to do the same with the 3. I'm going to have to multiply that by 5, and we end up with 15/20. So 3/4 is 15/20. And 4/5 likewise we've done 5 times 4 is 20 for our denominators. So we're going to do that the same thing with the numerator. 4 times 4 is 16. So 4/5 is the same as 16 20ths. So at the moment we can see that 3/4 is smaller than 4/5. And a quarter, we've multiplied the 4 by 5 to get to 20. So I'm going to do the same with the numerator. 1 times 5 is 5. So that seems to be the smallest of all the fractions. But let's just see the half just to check it. Of course, 2 times 10 is 20. So 1 times 10 is 10. And now we can put these fractions in order because we've written them as 20ths. So as we can see from this, we've got a quarter, which is 5 20ths. And next we'll have a half, which is the same as 10 20ths, followed by 3/4, which is 15 20ths, and 4/5. So that's how we can order fractions by changing the denominators so each denominator is the same. And to order fractions, we can use this method, or we can draw the fractions out and compare them that way. Thank you for watching. I hope that has been informative. Now there's some work to go